Wow, that last video really blew up. Some would say in my face, but I would beg to differ. And when you look at that, 16 likes, guys, wow! I thought I got a lot of views from pissing off PewDiePie fans, but, you know, I still did, but this is probably gonna end up being a lot more. Now, luckily, I was left with a lot of comments, so we can actually see what's the major problems with my video. Now, we're not going to respond to every comment because, holy shit, there's a lot of them. We're only going to look at the top ones. The ones that the comment section itself deemed worthy to be seen by I in others. Notice we'll be also looking at a few funny ones because, come on guys, we gotta have a little bit of fun. It's time to use my massive intellect to get to the bottom of the problem. Don't mind me, I'm just making a list of his voice cracking. My voice doesn't crack. My voice is perfect. If you can't do it, then don't do it at all. So why is this video still up? You're good enough. It's just as lacking as the post you're whining about. The point of most anime/comic art is to over-exaggerate attributes of a figure. That's something you learn in art school. Get over yourself, man. Yeah, but here's the thing. The way it did it, it looked like shit. To me, it looks sickly. It looks kind of like unhealthy. But the artist is trying to portray a sexy and good-looking physique, and it just doesn't work in my opinion because it looks sickly. Note, I'm saying in my opinion, so if one of the reasons you didn't like my video is because you thought I was objectively critiquing it, you're an idiot. Insulting an artist over how they draw isn't criticism. Do better. Well, it's a damn good thing that I didn't do that. I mean, yeah, I insulted him, but I didn't just insult him. I also had legitimate criticism as well. And if you're going to, you know, reject legitimate criticism over insults, you're a child. Now, this next one's a big one, and we're going to have to deal with a few big ones today, so get your big brain ready. This is gonna take a while. Kinda missing the point of the post. As a woman who went to art college, art critics would literally be graded. You would absolutely fail because it's not criticism. It's throwing insults at someone's work dressed up as just my opinion, and I'm trying to help you get better. There isn't really anything to improve here. Mr. Fish has a clear understanding of the human body and has bent and broken the rules of it to fit a style they enjoy drawing. Yeah, but here's the thing, his style looks like shit, and that was kind of my point. Perhaps if it looked more realistic, like body shape wise, like in general, maybe then it would look better. I pointed out in the video that, you know, most of the time when people bitch about this kind of stuff, they want to see like more fat on them because that's natural and that looks better and it makes your character look less of a mommy. Makes it look less like a creepy corpse thing. It is a double standard to go after just one gender of a sexualized body and not the other. To be okay with a depiction of a sexy male but bash and scream at the depiction of a female body, it is in fact a power fantasy for women to have sexy bodies like that. It's mine. Last time I checked, I'm a female, and I want to look like that image of a female. It's a power fantasy to me, and many other women. You don't get to decide what women view as a power fantasy, since you are not a woman. You cannot, in good faith, use that argument as fantasy is not yours to have. Okay, I've seen this quoted a lot, and it's bullshit. Having being sexy as a power fantasy is not a bad thing. Let me get that straight. I often had fantasies of being a hot woman too because I'm gender fluid and I would like a female body more. However, part of my fantasy of being, you know, like fucking sexy as shit is to not just be sexy as shit. I wouldn't want to be boiled down into one trait. And if you want that, fine. Just realize that in my opinion, you know, the opinion I was portraying in the video, that's very vain. Also, as for the, well, you're not a woman, so you can't judge this. Technically, I'm not a cis woman, although I am gender fluid. That means I do sometimes identify as a woman, sometimes as a man. I'm gonna get a lot of fucking comments for that. I can see him right now. A bunch of people bitching about, helicopters. I'm gonna bash my fucking head into the wall too. Firstly, do you go through the comments and see that people are not saying you're fat phobic? Well, I've seen this kind of shit before and no one's ever said that, but okay. The man next to her also has no fat on his body whatsoever. There is no weight to him at all. If anything, she has more weight given the soft plump look of her hips and thighs. I fucked that up. First of all, the guy does have a bit of fat. It's on his legs. And you're right, the woman does have a bit of fat on her thighs. Okay, I need a minute to realize I fucking said that. And that was a serious response to someone. Yep, my life's going the right direction. However, I don't think that fat is distributed well enough to look good. I mean, look at those arms, man. I mean, isn't that kind of creepy looking? They kind of look like something you'd see from like a horror movie, and that's kind of my thing. It was kind of creepy and disgusting looking, but it was meant to be sexual and like appealing looking. It's not. It looks like shit. And drawings like this are just perv pandering that's not done well. But you do kind of make a good point. I should have been more clear on that. I should have been more like, hey, you know what? There is fat, but it's not distributed in a way that looks good. So good job, comment section. You get one, and there's gonna be a point system up above. Okay, here we go. I went to school for this, sweetie. This is my territory. I'm gonna assume you didn't go to any art college or take any art classes. Here's what they teach. First, you learn the rules, which it seems Fish did. Everything is where it needs to be, placement-wise. Yet it looks like shit. If you literally pump out the midsection and maybe slim out the hips, you have a normal-looking figure. Next thing they teach you is break the rules. Fit the character to your style and taste. Yeah, and not everyone's going to like that, and they're going to make criticism against it. That's why I made my video, because it looked like shit and it seemed whiny. Literally every artist does this to different degrees. Look at any cartoon show on air right now. Human beings do not have tiny bodies, noodles, arms, and bobbleheads, but the artist understands bone structure, proportion, and mass. Then they break those rules and make a style they enjoy, but still looks somewhat correct. But style does not equal wrong whatsoever. Everything is where it needs to be, and an understanding of structure. Now, I can easily point out 3 different areas that Fish could work on from an objective standpoint as someone with a job in education, illustration, and character degree. The female, the breasts are a little too wide apart. If they're meant to be small, they shouldn't have so much weight to them. Elbows sit a little high, the belly button is a tad too low on the lower stomach. For the male, the armpit area is a wonky mess, and the biceps are too small for the body tone, and they are going for it as the shoulders, which look way too small. Arms could use a bit of work, as could the legs. They know how to do torsos real well as joints leading to the limbs, but the limbs themselves seem a little lanky and lack the tone and muscle he wants to get across. Okay, I think I can see your major issue. You seem to think that this is a purely objective video I'm trying to make. I'm not. It was subjective. Sure, there are a few points I believe are objectively true, but when it comes to art, I personally feel it looks like shit. That's what I fucking explained in the video. And the fact that he looks at, and the fact that he's making a piece of art where he's like, oh man, all this criticism sure does suck. I know he's trying to, you say he's trying to point out hypocrisy, but it's not pointing out hypocrisy because the hypocrisy isn't fucking there in the first place. It's pointing out criticism that he doesn't like to fucking get. Sure, I could go halfway on you and say he is trying to make that point, but he also makes the shitty point of going like, this criticism, I don't take time to understand it, it's just bad and confuses me. Fish is in fact pointing out the real hypocrisy in a lot of their comments. A sexy image of a woman is awfully harshly criticized, while the male form is lusted for after without any issue. Just because one is more stylized doesn't mean it's wrong. I don't like it. It's not a critic. Yeah, I explain why I didn't like it. Actually, listen next time. That doesn't fly in a professional sense. This isn't a professional video. I don't like it. It's not a fact. It's a valid opinion. It's not a fact. I'm not saying it's a fucking fact though. That I never said oh, this art is objectively shit. And you can say what you don't like without being the world's biggest child about it. See, a lot of people seem to point out my tone as a problem. And if you can't get past my tone and just look at the arguments, that's your problem, not mine. Sure, you could criticize my tone. Just remember that criticism doesn't mean shit to me because I don't care about my tone in the video. If I held back, I would be lying and I would sound fake as hell. I don't want to sound fake as hell. I try to make myself sound as genuine as I can in these videos. One of the main reasons I go unscripted actually is so I can sound genuine as possible. I'm not gonna worry about tone because it doesn't fucking matter. It shouldn't matter. You should grow up and be an adult and not be so easily offended by me saying mean things. Look at my argument without being such an idiot about it. And then they repeat themselves, and I'm done with that one. Yeah, this is very much going to be a while. Dismissing the male drawing for being a power fantasy. It's always disingenuous. It's ignoring the fact that many women do like tone/fit men. My sister had a shirtless Ryan Gosling wallpaper. Are you going to tell me it's something she wants to be? And look up Demi Rose. Her body isn't that far off from the one in the video. No surgery. Also, you're really full of yourself, dude. Some of the criticism thrown at some artists aren't even really about the anatomy. It's almost never criticizing the drawing itself, but the subject matter of the art. Is it really that crazy to tackle the subject matter of an issue? Addressing the power fantasy thing, you see, yes, it could be seen as sexualized, but it could also be seen as a power fantasy. It has more than one use. It's not just a sex object. See, as a connoisseur of porn, because I have a dick and I gotta do something with my days, you know? I actually know a lot of ways you can combine a female power fantasy with sexualization without it just being sexualized for the point of being sexualized. You've got stuff like fendom, doming, and you know, tops and bottoms, a lot of that shit. Muscular women is a good ideal. My problem isn't, oh, it's sexy. My problem is, oh, it's just sexy, and that's it. And hell, it doesn't even pull up the sexiness well. It looks like shit. Also, as for the Demi Rose argument, let's take a quick comparison. No, it's not the fucking same. As you can see, her body is not as unrealistically as fucking thin as the drawing. And look at those arms. Those arms actually have some fucking weight to them. Also, the breasts are dramatically different. I'm saying this in a fucking video. I'm debating about fucking breast sizes. Okay, let's get back to reality. Even if realism wasn't a major factor in the argument, and the only reason I pointed out realism is because it would look better if it was more realistic. If if the drawing was more like the actual person, then that would actually look better. The woman doesn't look creepy and unnatural, the drawing does. When you're trying to make something that looks sexually appealing, you may not want to make it look, you know, disturbing, creepy, and specifically unhuman-like. Just finish watching this, but I'm gonna rewatch and answer your criticism of these types of posts. I'm going to be objective as I possibly can, although I will openly admit that I have a bias for hetero, not safe for work art. Okay, artists cannot take criticism well. Yes and no. There are artists that definitely up their own asses about their content and will even take slight criticism's attack on them. Yeah, as seen in my video on him, I fucking show that. Admittedly, I have never run into anyone like that directly, but as someone that used to draw a lot, I understand the defensiveness. However, this isn't about criticism. This is usually about unfair harassment of an artist that primarily draws art of women, usually in a pin-up style or anime hentai. And this is almost always done by people that unfortunately appear left-leaning. Okay, now he's bringing politics in it. I hate to bring up politics, but this is a very much a trend on Twitter where this happens quite often. These people have actually gone out of their way to brigade not safe for work artists and get them deplatformed. This goes far beyond just I don't like anime girls with big tits. Here's the thing, artists can normally ignore those people, and unless you've done something wrong, you can't really get deplatformed off Twitter for doing something that's just making sexy art. If the person quits because they get a lot of messages, then that does kind of suck, but you can also block people to an extent. Yet again, harassment is bad, but criticism is the problem. He isn't pointing out harassment, he's pointing out criticism. If he wanted to point out the more harassment types, then he should have done a better job of portraying that. Instead, most of the things he referenced in the post with red text are mostly just criticism or blatant lies. Okay, we've already addressed this point. Anatomy. This is utterly pointless to use as some kind of own when cartoon characters in kids shows are constantly scratching and squishing and all over the place. Are you gonna tell me the people that made Adventure Time that they need to go back to school and learn how to draw? Or is that only reserved for people that make art that's catered to men's pee-pee? It's called a style, my guy. You may not like it, but that's how styles work. Also, even if the anatomy is unrealistic, why is that bad? You'll watch Captain America grab a mythical hammer from a space god and use it to defeat a purple man that uses magic rocks to kill people, and that's fine, but if a woman's waist is thinner than a human woman, it's holy shit, dude, that's not even real. Come on, dude, it's a fictional character. Yeah, but Captain America also has a lot more characteristics than I'm just sexy and, he's kind of, being badass for a purpose. To defeat the bad guy, huh? Now, I'm not saying having sex just for sex is bad. However, if it looks like shit, like I explained earlier, then yeah, I'm going to call it out. I don't have a problem with, cartoon bodies because they're meant to be squishy and all over the place, and they succeed on that. However, what a lot of artists do, like the example I've shown, with the artist questions that I've made a video about, it looks like shit. So not only is it perv pandering, but it looks like shit. And I've already explained why it looks like shit to me personally. It looks creepy, it looks a bit unhealthy, it looks disturbing. The reason I pointed out realism as a complaint, because that's a valid complaint. Maybe if it looked more realistic, it would look better. Why do they no explain stuffs? Because Twitter is annoying to deal with, and people are tired of getting shit on for wanting to create their fantasies that harm 0 people. These people aren't criticizing when they quote a tweet, when they quote tweet an NSF artist going, "Dude, women don't look like that, lol fucking incel." Twitter limit isn't an excuse when you're making an art piece about it. If you've ever seen political satire cartoons, you know you don't need a lot. They can explain a message and a meaning with just a simple drawing. And let's say it was just text-based. You can reply to your own tweet and start a thread, right? It's less that you have limits on your tweets and more that you have to make them, you have to point out what you want in chunks. Write some, then reply to that tweet with the rest of what you're going to say. Also, by saying, oh, it's mostly just harassment, you're overgeneralizing the argument. That would be like if I came on this video and instead of responding to the comments, I just said, all of these people are really just idiots that didn't get my point of video. I could have done that, but that would have been shitty and insincere and, doesn't portray the argument well. And you're right, technically the image doesn't hurt anyone. Well, technically doesn't. It could be said that images like this can cause someone to feel really bad about their body, and people with bad body positivity could probably end up feeling like shit because of this, but let's just say that doesn't happen. Okay, that's true. How is me criticizing that art hurting anyone either? If you're going to reply to that by saying, well, those insults were pretty mean, like I said earlier, grow the fuck up. If you want to be taken seriously, I recommend not using such a condescending tone of voice. There are good and bad ways to deliver criticism. First of all, dude, have you seen my OC? Seriousness is not the major concern on this channel. Second, if people didn't do stupid shit, then I wouldn't have this condescending tone. If my condescending tone bothers you, get the fuck over yourself. Sure, you are allowed to not like my tone, but I'm also allowed to tell you, go fuck yourself. And get over it, you fucking baby. I've already said it, but I'll say it again. Be an adult, Don't worry about tone, focus on the argument. Wow, that was a very clever statement. I bet it took you all night, but for anyone that seriously thinks this is a simpish attitude, you do realize the artist who drew the piece of art was supposedly female, right? If I wanted to, simp for someone, I would be defending the woman in question. What fucking woman am I defending here? Way to completely erase women and act like only men would possibly agree with the artist. It shows your bias. Okay, I'll take the L on there, although I will mention that, yeah, opinionated videos do have biases, although I did overgeneralize a bit. I mean, women can be creepy perverts too. I mean, have you ever heard of moms desperately obsessing over fucking Twilight books, even though most of the characters in those Twilight books are like fucking teenagers? So yeah, if you think I'm just biased towards creepy men, don't worry, I think women can be creepy too. Exhibit A, a virgin hoping to use feminism to get laid. Yes, because it can't be possible that I'm doing this because these are actually my opinions on the subject. No, I'm doing it to get laid. Except, wise guy, I'm in a asexual relationship. Sure, it's also polyamorous, but I don't really care about sex that much. I mean, if I wanted to get it off, I could just do it myself. It's very easy. And I know that sounds a bit creepy, and that's because it probably is. Okay, aside from posts that repeat the same shit, and, comments that are just obviously jokes or stabs at me, that's most of the, the criticism towards my last video addressed. No, I don't think any of the criticism was really that good. Only 2 points were really, actually good. And technically not even that. But most of you dipshits fucking failed to make an impact. But hey, you dipshits can't say in the comments, oh, you probably won't respond to this criticism or some of the major criticism. I mean, you probably tried to, but you didn't read this comment that you had to go into the tomb of Maya to find. But overall, I don't give a shit. This was surprisingly interesting to talk about. Who knew so much heat and bullshit could come off of just one 5-minute video? Jesus Christ, imagine what the fucking 20-minute video is gonna fucking do. Also, bit of a warning, if there's dumb comments on this video too, there's gonna be another video. Oi! If you thought that was really good, you should definitely donate to my Ko-Fi. That could help out with, getting better stuff for recording software and all that junk, also getting me stuff. But if you feel like you're not getting enough vitamin C, you could always go to my Twitter, where you can see posts I post almost fucking daily. But let's say you really like this video, or you just like my content in general, you might want to join my Discord. You can talk to me and stuff and share your own work, among other things. All of those wonderful links will be in the description below.